Okay, so we're going to take each one of these and we're going to graph them. First thing I need to do though is I need to darken my X and Y axis. So we are lutzing our graph. If you remember lutzing, so I've got to label. So they've already told me that X is worked mowing lawns. So on my X axis, I've got mowing lawns. And my Y axis is working at the clothing store. And then we will title it jobs. We'll go pretty easy today. Okay, so I do also need to number this. You can see that your numbers are pretty big over here. So we are going to number them by fives. We'll just count by fives. So go ahead and if you need to pause the video so you can count your X and Y axis, you can do that as well. Should get to 45 on the X. And 40 on the Y. Okay, so here we go. So Y, on the red equation, he is not in slope-intercept form. So let's come down here and solve him for slope-intercept form first. So he was 12x plus 10y greater than or equal to 350. So I'm going to subtract 12x from both sides. 10y greater than or equal to, can't take the x. Okay, and then divide everybody by 10. Okay, so when you divide 12 by 10, obviously it's going to be a pretty ugly number. So instead we leave the fraction, but you can simplify 12 over 10. That turns you into negative 6/5. And then 350 divided by 10 is going to give me 35. All right, so now we can graph this. So we know our y-intercept is 35, so I'm going to put a dot on 35. And I'm going to go, slope was down 6, right 5. So you're going to have to do some thinking on this, because if you're at 35, then you're going to be at 29. So you're kind of underneath it. So each time you're subtracting 6. So you're at 29, right 5, right 5. You're just going to keep going, right 5. And then you can't do that last one because you're at 6. Okay. All right, so he is a greater than or equal to sign, so that means solid. Okay. All right, and greater than means to shade above, so I'm going to point 2 arrows up. All right, so now let's do our can't work over 40 hours. He is also not in slope-intercept form, so let's solve him real quick. He's a lot easier than the last one. All you do is subtract your x. So I get y is less than or equal to negative x plus 40. So that means I'm going to start at 40, and my slope is negative 1, so he's a lot easier. So I put a dot at 40, and you're going to go down 1, right 1, since you counted by the same on your x and y axis. Okay. He was a less than or equal to, so he's also solid. And since he's less than means to shade down, so I'll point 2 arrows down. All right, and then our last one, very, very simple. We love when we see these because all that means is you go to the y-axis to the number 10, and you make a horizontal line, and in this case, a solid horizontal line. So we like those. And he is greater than, so that means to shade up. And the solutions to this one are everything inside of your little quadrilateral there. Okay. All right, last one, number 9. Math team is selling tickets to their fall festival. They make, so this is a profit, $5 off an adult ticket and $3 off of a student ticket. And then we have several different cases of, kind of like when we did Naomi with the chocolates. We have the fire chief tells us that the fall festival can hold a max of 800 people. The school principal wants the number of students to be no more than 3 times the number of adults. And there must be at least 300 students willing to go, or they're not going to have it. Okay. All right, so define your variables. So when we did this on number 8 and when we did this in Naomi, they told you what X and Y were going to be. So you get to pick this time. So I just came to adult ticket first, so I'm going to make X an adult ticket. And then the second one is Y, and it was student ticket. So I'm going to make Y the student ticket. And that, again, is to help you label your graph, because you know now X-axis is adult, Y-axis is student. Okay, write an equation for the profit, so how much these guys make. So we now know that an adult ticket is X. So they made $5 off an adult ticket. So that means $5 X. But they also made $3 off of a student ticket. So that would be 3Y. Okay, so write 3 inequalities. So if you'll notice, I highlighted different colors, 3 different colors. Those are your 3 inequalities. So the first one is about the fire chief. It can hold a maximum of 800 people. That doesn't matter if it's a student or an adult. So I have an X for an adult and a Y for a student, and it, wherever they're having this place has a maximum. So maximum means it has to be less than or equal to 800 people. Okay. All right. Then the one that I highlighted in green, the number of students. So student was Y. So the number of students can be no more than means less than or equal to 3 times the number of adults. And adults was X. So that would be 3 times X. All right. And then the last one says there must be at least 300 students willing to go or they're not going to have it. So student was Y. And there must be at least. So that means greater than or equal to 300 students. All right, letter D says graph this. So we want to darken our X and Y axis. And then we want to label our X and Y axis. So we already know that we gave X adult tickets. And Y was our student tickets. And we need a title, and we will call this Fall Festival. Okay, so once again, you can see that our numbers are pretty big. We have 800, we have 300, so let's count our graph by 100s. So again, you can pause the video if you need to go ahead and label all your graph. You're just going to count each one of them by 100s. So both your X and your Y axis. Okay. All right, so here we go. So red one, this is not in slope-intercept form, so very easy to solve though. If you want to get Y by itself, all you would have to do is subtract X. So Y is less than or equal to negative X plus 800. So that means I go to 800 and down 1, right 1. Okay. And he is a less than or equal to, so that is a solid line. And less than means to shade down, so we'll point 2 arrows down. All right, next equation, my slope is 3, but my y-intercept is 0. There is nothing added or subtracted out back, so that means I start at 0, and I will go up 3, but in this case, you're going up 300, so up 300, right 1. Okay. And he is an equal to symbol, so that means solid. And he's less than, so that means I shade down. Okay. And then this guy right here, simple. We love him. He's just Y and a number. I go to the Y-axis to 300. That's it. And you make a horizontal, and in this case, solid line. Solid line through 300. And greater than means I shade up. So, where all these fellas are pointed at each other, red is down, blue is down, but green is up. So, it's in this cute little triangle. Okay. Next question. Explain the meaning of the point 200, 400. So, I'm going to take 200, 400. I'm going to put a dot right there. So, where did this dot fall? It fell in my shaded area. So when we did this with Naomi, does that mean she can or cannot? And if it's in the shaded area, that means she can. So what this means is that the math team can sell 200 adult tickets and 400 student tickets. So explain the meaning of the point 200, 400. The point 200, 400 means that the math team, not E, good thing I teach math, math team can sell 200 adult tickets and 400 student tickets. Okay. All right. Last question. Find the number of adult and student tickets that need to be sold to get the maximum profit. So we figured out the hard way though, I do not need to test everything that's highlighted. I only have to test the extremes. The extremes of your graph are the vertices. So my vertices are 100, 300, 500, 300, and 200, 600. So I have to test those 3 points. I do not have to test everything that's highlighted. You only have to test the 3 points. So I had 100, 300, I had 500, 300, and I had 200, 600. So that equation that we wrote back on letter B, that's where those coordinates go. So every X will go in the X spot, every Y will go in the Y spot. So it'll look like this. So if I sold, I'm going to put P for profit, 100 adult tickets, that would be 5 times 100. And then I sold 300 student tickets, so that would be 3 times 300. If I type that in my calculator, I get $1,400. So they would get $1,400 profit if they sold that many. All right, so let's keep testing. If I sold 500 adult and 300 student, I would make $3,400. Okay. If I sold 200 adult and 600 students, I would make $2,800. So the question is, find the number of adult and student tickets that they will get the maximum profit. Obviously, this guy right here. You get the most money for 500 adult and 300 students. So I would say the math team should sell 500 adult tickets and 300 student tickets to maximize their